You are now listening to Between Us Girls, the podcast, where we discuss life's fuckeries and then some over wine.
Hey, welcome to our show. This is Michelle, Danielle,
and Sharonda.
and this is
Between Us Girls.
And you can always look at, first of all, Danielle, you can always find us on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts / iTunes. Facebook, Between Us Girls, the podcast. Instagram, Between Us Girls Podcast, and on Twitter at Girl Talk and Wine. We do have a Snapchat, but it's fairly dead, so you can go over there if you want to. Sharonda, what do we have that we don't have that we need?
Motherfucking money. Run me a check, bitch. I take credit cards. I don't take no checks because I don't trust you motherfuckers. But
Right.
we got PayPal. I can download the Cash app. Danielle will twerk for quarters. No pennies, no dimes.
We'll not do it.
Quarters exclusively. But if you want to
Oh my
be
God, could you imagine somebody flicking quarters at Danielle?
just taking that bitch, bam. I'm going to start a new game. Bounce a quarter off Danielle's ass. That's what that's going to be. Anyway, but if you would like to respectfully donate money without Danielle twerking for quarters, then you can go to www.patreon.com/betweenusgirls.
Our fan of the week this week is none other than Elliot Green, who is always pretending that he wants a relationship, but doesn't really. Elliot is a top contributor in our Facebook group, but we're not quite sure if he actually knows we have an actual podcast.
Hi,
Thank
Elliot.
you, Elliot.
Thank you. We have a podcast, by the way, and we just said your name on it. You should feel important.
We are going to be at the Modern Love Convention in 2018. Danielle, can you tell us a little bit more about the Modern Love Convention?
Yes, the convention will be in New Orleans, August 10th through the 12th, one of the coolest cities in the country. Every time I go there, bands make her dance.
Bands make our dance. Bands make our dance.
So that means, again, she will be twerking for
Yeah.
cash.
I don't actually dance.
Making a full attempt.
Throw
She'll be doing
that
the whitest white girl dance
She will throw
For-
that ass in a circle.
for all the coins.
prayer circle.
She's going to throw that ass in a square.
She is the church twerk team captain. Yes, she is.
So there's going to be podcasts from every genre: history, comedy, entertainment, pop culture, true crime, paranormal, and many more. And most importantly, us.
Us.
Right.
Like, we'll be there. So if
Us
you,
will be there.
Yeah. So
Us will be there. Us girls will be there. And actually, I'm practicing a Michael McDonald rendition to do on stage.
girl, bye.
Oh my God.
So you don't want to miss this. I keep fucking.
No.
You're not in love anymore.
Oh my God! Please stop.
I keep forgetting.
Oh my God! Stop it right now.
Don't stop.
like it?
Keep going.
You know what? Really? Okay, this is like off topic, but I listened to Questlove's podcast.
How is that?
Really legit. And he had Michael McDonald as a guest, and I was like
Shut
so
the fuck
into
up.
it.
You're gonna go make me find
It's on
that.
Pandora.
Did he sing at all?
No, I don't know if he sang. I don't think he did, but it was cool listening to him like talking about the Doobie Brothers and all that. It was just awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
So since we can't smoke doobies, what are we sipping on?
We can't? Oh, fuck. I didn't get that memo.
Okay,
My bad.
fucking.
So this wine came recommended from a manager in the wine area at my local grocery store. And she said this is called 1,000 Stories. It is a Zinfandel that is actually aged in bourbon barrels and not oak. And that is what sold me on buying this for this episode, because we've had so many different wines that were aged in oak and had an oaky aftertaste, blah, blah, blah. So I opted for the bourbon barrel. The vintage on this one is 2015. And I'm the fucking VIP of the century because the fucking alcohol content on this one is 15.5.
Well, I'm not going to make it home tonight.
Hey,
but if I do,
you know what I'm saying? It's going the fuck down. Oh, I don't know. Sorry.
I'm going to be like, I just want to show you how much. I'm just kidding. Okay.
She going to Beyonce that ass tonight.
Twisting and turning and flipping.
Just
okay,
don't fall.
I will.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to give you our cumulative score of 25 at the end of the episode. And then also don't forget to check out our social media, because every Wednesday we're going to wind down with you and we're going to give you some information about the wines that we have that week. Okay, so we do have a guest this week. Callie Wright, host of the Gaytheist Manifesto Podcast, which explores the intersection of the atheist movement and the LGBTQ rights movement. Hey, Callie.
Hi. I'm so excited about this. We've known each other for like 10 minutes at this point, and I am in love with all of you. I just need you to know that.
I'm so glad.
Me too.
Your boobs look great.
Yeah, she
Well,
has
thank you.
great New York boobs, like
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle would say.
Yeah, totally.
Estrogen is a hell of a drug.
Okay. Good one.
No bullshit.
Love it.
My thing is, overdose on estrogen will make you a huge bitch. But anyway.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, I don't need any help in that area.
I know. I'm like, why am I so bitchy? Oh, I'm like, okay. Okay, so we do have some super serious interview questions. Some of them are actually serious. Some of them are actually not that serious, but you have a great personality and an incredible sense of humor. And I know that we care about you and that any of these questions are not to offend.
100%.
Damn, what the fuck are we going to be asking? I feel
mean-
like we're going to be assholes.
Sharonda, do you wake up in the morning?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not an asshole though to like our guests and stuff. I have respect for people. Like I draw the line somewhere. I mean, I can't see it.
Selective assholishness. That makes sense.
I've been diagnosed. Thank you, and I'm working with that. Thank
I'm
you.
just confused about this because I feel kind of like, what?
Lies unfolding.
Okay.
Oh, shit. That's new. The lies that are unfolding.
You motherfuckers is assholes too. Okay, both of you.
Yes, and
Halo.
I own it. That's why I put the disclaimer, because I need it to be known. I care about you. I care about you. Okay, Sharonda, what is going on over there? the head stroke and the caress. I can't. Okay,
I was acting it out.
But are you ready, Callie? Are you ready?
I'm ready to do this. I did my stretches. I got my warm-ups in.
Oh,
I'm ready.
Uh-oh. Gotta
Hey,
take
hey. Hey. First and foremost,
Oh my god.
what's your zodiac sign so that we can properly stereotype you?
I am a Sagittarius, which is badass because I just like, I mean, what's cooler than like a half horse, half person that can also do archery?
That's fucking true. That really is. I didn't think about that.
I'm so into it.
That's great. That's awesome.
Like, I don't even know what the Sagittarius stereotypes are. I just know that like I'm a badass archer and like intimidating and scary because I'm a half horse, half person. So
Sagittarius, they like their freedom above like anything else. Like they don't like being restricted. Like
They're good at making money too. They're very what's the word?
All of this winning?
Like goal-oriented, focused.
Focus when it comes like to
Determined?
finances. Yeah, determined when it comes
Aggressive?
to finances. Matter of fact, Jay-Z is a Sagittarius.
Yes, he is. Yes, he
Gosh,
is.
I am so the first thing, I'm 100% there. I feel like I'm right there with you. The second thing, maybe I'm bringing down my people in that way.
You know what? Most of the
I'm working on it.
Sagittarius-
You're working on it, so you haven't brought anybody down because you're still doing it. So you're good. You're good.
Okay, I can accept that.
There you go.
Most of the Sagittarius that I know, they don't like to work in an office.
Mm-mm.
Are you
They
a
like
Sagittarius? Are you a
Creative.
spirit?
probably so. Like I might be on the cusp. With
Like
something
you probably should look at your rising sign.
I know, right? Because I don't like being in the office.
I have a
Like-
thing that'll give you that chart too.
I like like a couple of days. Like I like the stability of an office, but I don't want to be in there every day of the week. Like that's me.
Yeah, I can respect that.
Yeah.
So how do you feel? Are you like a office 9 to 5, like that structure type, or are you like not?
See, for me, it has more to do with the people than the environment. Because I work in a call center for my day job, and that's very much like an office. Like, you know, I sit in a cubicle and get yelled at by customers all day. But then, like, I mean, my favorite thing in the world is traveling and like going to conferences and meeting new people and hearing people's stories and interviewing people and stuff. So like, for me, it's like, you know, are there interesting people there that I enjoy being around? And if the answer to that question is yes, I don't really care, if that makes sense.
That's a
Yeah.
very Sagittarius thing. Yeah.
A very Sagittarius.
I just had a flashback.
All right, then.
You have been approved for your Sagittarius, just so you know.
Thank you. I feel a lot better about that.
It is now official.
I just had a flashback that Callie was actually in Houston
And I'm so angry.
and totally went home and then called into a show in Houston.
What the fuck?
I'm gonna fly like 1,000 miles so I can call you on Skype
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Definitely. I mean, I was probably just right next to you on the freeway, but let's talk via Skype.
Right, let's Skype in, even though your Uber was right behind me. Right.
Okay, so more serious question. How long have you been podcasting and what kind of feedback are you getting? We see how I just made that so dramatic?
Oh my.
I was ready for a much more difficult question than that. I'm good though. Like I like the misdirection. It's awesome.
Got to keep you on your toes, Callie.
It's coming.
Got to keep you on your toes.
It'll be 3 years in February that I've been podcasting, and it's been an incredible ride. And so I came into my niche in podcasting at a time when there really weren't many people doing what I do. As a queer person, as a trans person, as an atheist, you know, going into the atheist podcasting niche, and talking about those things in all of those contexts, and you know, there just weren't many people doing that. So you know, I came onto the scene and was like, hey, I'm a trans person and I want to talk about trans things on your podcast. And they're just, you know, there were maybe one or two other people who were out and who were open and trying to have those conversations. And so I was really well positioned to be, you know, for what I do, to be interesting in some way. And so, you know, I got hooked up with an atheist podcaster who has a pretty big platform, and he kind of took me under his wing and did a lot for me as far as, you know, putting my name out there and putting the show out there. And so, you know, I was, you know, I guess it on all of the big shows in the movement, like very early on. And,
cool.
You know, and as far as the feedback that I've gotten, I mean, it's incredible. Like I try to straddle the line between being, I want to appeal to people who aren't members of the queer community, people who are allies, and people who want to be educated and they want to know how to do better and they want to know how to treat people right and that kind of stuff. But I also want my podcast to be a place where queer and trans people can come and feel like that's a space that's meant for them, that's been carved out for them. And, you know, when I first started, in my mind, those were almost mutually exclusive concepts. Like I could talk to one audience, but not the other. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I get sort of an equal amount of feedback from both audiences saying that what they think, what we do is valuable to them, which is incredible to me. And really, I think what it comes down to is the fact that vulnerability is a huge thing for me. Mm-hmm. I'm fortunate in that I don't take a lot of risks when I open myself up. I know I'm not going to lose my job. I know I'm not going to lose my family relationships. I'm not going to lose any of the things that are my stability.
That's okay.
That was
sorry.
weird.
That's Snapchat.
And that's all right. And
I don't know how to use it.
and so like, so, you know, when I step out and I share a piece of myself in a really vulnerable way, most of the feedback that I get from that is, oh, wow, that means something to me. I connected with something in your story, and getting that positive affirmation is sort of, it's encouragement to step out even further and do even more of that. And I think that's what people really connect to, even more so than like the specific, like, oh, we're talking about this really esoteric aspect of queer life, or this thing about trans stuff that like nobody knows anything about. It's not that it's tough for people to connect with a certain kind of subject matter. It's the fact, it's the vulnerability, and it's the human stories. And that's what we try to focus on more than anything else. And that, you know, it's worked well for us, I think.
I've been binging on Oprah's podcast. So what is it? What did I say it was called?
I don't know what Oprah's podcast is called. We never talked about it.
We did in a chat with Andrea.
I still don't know what the name of it is. I know you said Iyanla made you cry. That's all I know.
I didn't say she made me cry.
Oh, she made you have a feeling.
Okay. Anyway, she on her podcast, I think it's Super Soul Sunday. I think that's what it's called. On one of her shows, she talked about vulnerability being the gateway to happiness, which was pretty interesting to me. Just because, one, I'm not that vulnerable of a person, not openly vulnerable, but it was interesting. It was interesting to me that you just said that. But do you feel at all pigeonholed into being a trans person, like being the gateway to what life like a trans person is with your podcast?
Kinda. There are times where I'm like, good Lord, can somebody just invite me on a podcast to talk about Star Trek? You know, because I'm a huge Star Trek nerd, you know? But for me, I do have I do have, you know, a personal life. You know, I have a fiance and a life with her, and, you know, we watch TV shows and hang out and do stuff together. So there is an element of like, sometimes I lament the fact that so much of my life is focused around me being trans, even though that's really not the most important thing about me. But at the same time, there's a level of responsibility that I feel like I've been given the opportunities to do these kinds of things because I have a supportive family, because I have a supportive community. And, you know, so many people in our community don't have that. And I see the way that they struggle. And so I feel like if me doing what I do can make life easier for other people, like I almost feel like it's a responsibility for me to do that. And I mean, if I hated it, obviously I'd stop doing it. But you know, and I actually, so I do an audio journal every week for patrons of the show. And it was, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, the title of the journal was, is the fact that I'm trans the most interesting thing about me? Because I worry, like, you know, is that really the thing that people care the most about me? Because, like, you know, sometimes I'd rather talk about all of the interesting social commentary in Star Trek, or how amazing science is, or I talk to other people about their stories and that kind of stuff. And it's like, the only reason people pay attention to what I have to say because I'm trans, is that the only reason people have me in their lives or bring me around? Right. And that's not because anyone's ever actually made me feel that way. I've had literally one person in my entire life that's made me feel that way, and he's not part of my life anymore. But in my head, it's just me, and it's imposter syndrome. If you're familiar with that term, it's a lack of confidence. It's a lack of self-worth, and thinking, you know, this one thing about me, well, that's got to be it. It can't be that I'm contributing something valuable to the conversation. It can't be that I'm actually doing something worthwhile. It's got to be this one thing that I don't really have control over. And I think in one way it's an expression of a lack of self-confidence, and it's also a way to sort of push off responsibility. Like, if things go wrong, well, it's not really my fault, because it wasn't really me anyways. It was just me being trans, you know? So it's both of those things put together. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's the hand I was dealt in life, right? Like I didn't ask to be who I am, but I am who I am. And I have the opportunities to do these things. And and for the most part, I love doing it. So, you know, the day that I start hating it, obviously, is going to be the day that I stop doing it. Yeah, I guess I'd just repeat myself if I kept talking.
No, but
I have a
get
question. So who is your favorite Star Trek character?
Oh, Captain Sisko, hands down.
Okay. Why?
It's my favorite thing in the world. Everybody's like, so, all right, Kirk or Picard? Sisko.
Oh.
And it was like, what? And he's the most interesting captain, hands down, because Captain Kirk is like the swashbuckling adventure type, which is cool. Don't get me wrong. And
you made
Captain
him sound
Picard
just like a pirate.
What's that?
You made him sound just like a pirate.
Swashbuckling.
The
I mean, kind of.
Yeah.
You know. And Captain Picard is this he's a steadfast, steady, virtuous. He's like a captain's captain, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes that can kind of be one dimensional, right? He doesn't struggle a lot. He's not challenged in a serious way a lot. But Captain Sisko is a husband at the beginning of the show, and then a widower, and then a father, and a soldier, and a captain, and a religious icon, and a friend. Like, you get to see so many more dimensions to his character than you do the other characters, and it's absolutely brilliant. And Avery Brooks as an actor, I mean, he's just one of the best actors there is. Period. Like, he's just so good. So yeah, Sisko is my favorite, hands down.
Okay, I have another question, and this question is a little bit, I mean, it might be a little bit uncomfortable for you to answer, but I'm going to ask it. Do you get offended if someone accidentally uses the wrong pronoun? Like, if it's like completely unintentional, like, how do you feel?
I would say offended is probably not the word that I would use.
Okay.
Because obviously intent matters, you know. I mean, if somebody's being an asshole, then yes.
Absolutely.
If it's accidental, it does hurt. But I like to compare it to somebody accidentally stepping on your toe. You know what I mean? It's not like they were being mean, but they still hurt you.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's really what it comes down to, because I spent so much of my life not identifying with that and having to pretend and having to hide. And now I'm like, nope, fuck every single bit of that. I'm done hiding. I'm done pretending.
Right.
And every time a mistake like that is made, you know, it just kind of like jabs a hot poker into what's left of that wound, if that makes sense.
Oh.
And it's not like it's this like awful thing that I can never move on from or anything like that. But it's just one of those things, like it stings pretty bad, and it takes a little time to wear off, if that makes sense.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and the only reason why I ask that is because I think most people want to be sensitive to the situation and they want to use the correct pronoun, you know, but it's just whatever, you know, comes up, they're like, oh, oops. And I don't think they want to be intentionally hurtful. So that's why I was asking, because, you know, if it happens unintentionally, like, are we really hurting you guys? And definitely it is so. So thank you for answering that question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you had sex since your transition?
Since I had my surgery, no, because I'm just barely healed enough to attempt that.
Oh yeah, you're still yellow.
I could tell you some really interesting stories about sex post hormones, at least.
Really?
So, you know, as a teenager, you know, I mean, hormones are a thing, and a sex drive is a thing, regardless of, for most people, anyways. And it was really interesting because, you know, I learned how sex is quote unquote supposed to work, and it just never really felt right for me, you know, like sticking my penis in a thing. Like, it didn't feel like that was how the dynamic was supposed to work for me. You know what I mean? It definitely felt like it was supposed to work the opposite direction for me. And it made intimacy really weird, because there were times where I could kind of just like push it to the back of my head and just like enjoy the physical sensation and enjoy the experience of intimacy if it was someone that I was in love with, or just like pure like physical pleasure if it was just for, you know, if it was just for fun. But you know, post hormones, it's one of those experiences that you can hear people talk about it for hours and hours and months and think that you're prepared on a certain level for what the experience is going to be like. And it's absolutely nothing compared to the experience, because I mean, even I think it was like 6 or 8 months after I started hormones was the first time I did anything sexual with anyone. And I mean, it was not an exaggeration to say it felt like I was living in a different body at that point.
I'm sure. I mean, your hormones, the estrogen is really high. You know, you still got these male organs. I mean, that has to be completely just like out of body experience. Yeah. Like, what am I doing with this peen? I don't even know how to use it. I'm sorry. Don't touch me. Hair flip, all that shit. Like,
right. And well, and it's emotional too, you know, because a big thing that I got out of hormones was that my emotional reactions to things made a lot more sense to me, and I was able to relate to people in a way that made a lot more sense to me, and obviously that translates into sex too, and it was more of a, I guess, a more of a holistic experience, as opposed to just like, wow, this like physical sensation feels really good. It was that on top of that deep sort of emotional connection. And even if it was more of a physical experience, if it wasn't someone that I was deeply in love with or anything like that, there was still that sort of emotional connection and that emotional satisfaction that came from it that I didn't get before. And even, you know, post surgery, I've sort of just started to explore myself, and like, I don't have all my sensation back down there yet, so it's kind of awkward. But I mean, even just where I'm at, you know, I'd throw some gloves on to be safe, lube them up a little bit, and just go exploring. And you know, and it's just it all just makes sense. Like it's the question that I always ask people is like, imagine what you would feel like if you woke up tomorrow with a penis attached to your elbow. Like, how fucking weird would that be, right?
I'd be pissing on everybody, goddamn it. No, I'm just joking.
But like, you know, for me, like, as weird as that would feel for you, that's what it felt like having one in my crotch for 32 years.
Wow.
And now that it's gone, I mean, my body just makes sense to me. And I am eagerly awaiting like actual sexual activity, but I haven't had not quite healed to the point where I can do a whole lot of it yet.
How long has it been since you had the surgery?
A little over 3 months.
Oh wow.
Oh, so you're like a fresh vagina.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all shiny and new.
Fresh vagina.
Fresh vagina.
I am firmly into adulthood, and my vagina is an infant. It's real weird.
It's newborn, treated nicely.
That is so cool.
All shiny.
That is so cool. Wow. That is really interesting. I'm so excited for you.
I know.
A whole new world.
Okay. Yeah, right? And the other thing too is, just speaking generally, it is absolutely incredible to me the difference in how comfortable I am just in life when I don't have that emotional weight of just hating this thing on my body that I never really liked or wanted in the first place.
Really?
And and I actually, I've had people tell me, you know, you seem different after your surgery, and in a good way. Like you seem more confident, you seem happier and a little more carefree. And I legitimately feel that way. It's just, you know, there's a whole lot of stuff that used to be on my mind constantly and just isn't anymore. So, you know, it's really interesting to talk about the physical changes and the process, because I mean, the process is fucking amazing. If you've ever watched a video of how it works, it's like the person who invented this shit is a genius, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, the real story in terms of trans folks' interaction with society and surgery is simply the fact that it improves our quality of life so much. And we're able to just move on and just fucking live life, you know, and having access to that to those kinds of surgeries to whatever degree someone needs it. I mean, it's a hugely, hugely life improving thing.
That's so awesome. I'm so happy for you. Seriously.
Thank you.
Because you even sound like you're even though I didn't know you before, like you sound like a whole like fresh new just happy person. That's great, especially to get I guess weight lifted off of you in a sense.
Right.
Yeah, well,
That
literally and figuratively,
That,
right?
yeah, that was like weighing you down, and now you just feel like this whole new. Like I'm
Right.
all for that. Like I love it,
Right.
especially
Well,
seeing
thank
you
you.
like be so happy and talk so enthusiastically about it. Like that's awesome, and I'm so happy. And you have to let us know how the first test
Right.
run goes on the new vag.
Tonight
You know,
is
Oh, I
the
am going to
night.
scream it from the top of a fucking skyscraper. You can trust that.
He's going to be just like that Betty Wright song.
right? My very first time.
Make me a
Well-
woman.
Well, and what's fun is so my fiance and I actually got our surgeries together. Hers was a week before mine. And so we're experiencing all of this new stuff together.
So, what kind of surgery did she have?
Same one. We're both trans women.
So you guys consider
Shut
yourselves
the
to be
fuck up.
lesbian?
Yeah.
So you're lesbian. So that would be gaytheist. Okay, so you're lesbian. So you both. Okay,
Oh,
that is
that's
so
awesome.
interesting. That is so interesting to me. But
Well,
so,
I call myself queer because I just I just like cute people and I really don't care what their gender is.
Oh, well,
Okay.
yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
well, okay. So my question. Okay, I had a question earlier because I was like, okay, so she has a fiance. They're both women. They both went from male to female, and I was like, is it just the vagina that you were more connected? Like you needed to feel like you needed to be you need to be a woman, but you still like the same sex that you liked before you had the transition, right?
You know, that's a really interesting question. And it's one that I'm not even entirely sure I have a complete answer to. Because I mean, I am who I am regardless of surgery. I mean, I was a woman when I had a penis, and I'm a woman afterwards. And there are plenty of trans women who are comfortable with their genitals the way that they were born, and that's perfectly valid. I happen to end up in a relationship with someone who has kind of the same relationship with her body as I do with mine. And feeling that need. And it's hard to explain. Like when I, as a kid, when I found out vaginas were a thing and I found out like how that stuff works, I was just like, that just makes so much more sense to me. And then, moving on to puberty and sex and all of that kind of stuff, that all made more sense to me. And then on the other side of it, just things that are stereotypically associated with femininity are things that make more sense to me than the other way around. The way that I react to things emotionally, the way that I relate to people, that kind of stuff. And it messes with me because I mean, men can like feminine things, right? Like I've seen dudes rock dresses and look amazing and paint their nails and wear makeup, and that's all awesome. And lots of those folks are perfectly comfortable calling themselves men, right? So what's different between that person and me? Because we obviously can't base it just on stereotypes, right? Just based on gender stereotypes. We can't base it just on the way someone feels about their body. So what is it? Mm-hmm. And to be honest, I don't have a complete and satisfactory answer to that question. I just know that I am far more comfortable being thought of and referred to as a woman than I ever was as a man. And that's what makes sense to me. And, it at a certain level, I'm a super like analytical and rational and skeptical person. And I like to have answers and explanations for everything. And it was kind of a journey of its own, just coming to peace with the fact that like, you know what, this is just how I am. And I'm probably not ever going to have a full explanation for it, but I know that I am happy as the person that I am now. And like, that's the part that counts. And maybe I can just work on other life stuff.
Yeah. Cause who gives a fuck? Like, who do you need to explain anything to? Like, fuck that. I'm such an advocate of why does it bother you? Why do you give a fuck? You know what I mean? Like, and I mean that about any fucking body. It can be family member, anybody. Like, why the fuck do you care? Like, honestly, is it making you lose sleep at night to give a fuck what I have going on? It does not.
I'm trying to tell you because what I'm doing in my life has
Has no
it doesn't affect you at all.
At all.
Like Jay-Z said, what you eat don't make
me shit.
So
that's
like, I don't
right.
even need to move. You
No,
know what I mean?
seriously. And then like what you were saying earlier as well, like if you've always like felt feminine or like a female or whatever on the inside, then this shit was literally just like the cherry on top. Like you were always who the fuck you were.
Right.
This shit just kind of sweetened the deal at the fucking end. So, oh my God, go have amazing vaginal sex. That's great. I'm so happy for you.
I'm so fucking
You guys
excited.
are going to find the
Oh my
greatest dildos, and you could use them on each other, and it's going to be great.
Oh my God. God, y'all need to go like fucking shopping and everything and just have all this shit planned out. So if y'all had them at surgeries
act
at
like
the
we
same...
don't have it planned out. Come on.
Okay. So y'all's time to basically have sex is kind of the same because y'all had surgery at the same time,
You said
right?
it was a week before you?
Yeah, a week before mine. Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
it is going down. All the fucking.
Yep.
Oh my
all
God.
the fucking and all the
all of the
things and
sex
all the
everywhere,
sex.
all day.
Yeah. Well, and what's fantastic is so the other thing about her and I's relationship is we're not strictly monogamous. Like we're open to doing stuff with other people too. And so I'm just like penises and penis shaped things.
I was about to say, you're
and,
like, bring the dick.
just
Bring the
all
dick.
the things.
Bring it. Run the dick. Run it in. Run the dick in here.
That's
Run
fucking
it.
great.
That is so
Just vet
funny.
the dick because let them know like they better be a special motherfucker because you get 2 brand new fucking vaginas that ain't nobody
Right.
ever touched.
Fresh
This
pussy.
motherfucker better be
Exactly.
like a prince or some shit. Like I'm not
Well,
joking.
Ain't nobody touched but me and the
Sharonda's like,
TSA
hold
is the
on.
problem.
Let me see your credentials.
Hold on. We gotta run this shit. Let me run him through the system real quick.
Sharonda's
Fuck
going to come
that.
up there and be like,
This
I
shit
need to
is
see
brand
your
new,
credentials.
untouched.
These are brand new fresh pussies.
Right.
No,
Right.
anybody can come in here.
Yes.
Just write up a questionnaire.
No,
Right.
fuck that. We running some blood work. We doing all of that shit. Fuck that. This is brand new right here.
Fresh.
Background
Yes.
checks and shit.
Yeah, all this new
Fresh.
carpet that had been laid. Oh, you got me fucked up. No, take off your shoes.
So I have
I'm
a question.
sorry.
I was going to ask, what advice would you give to somebody who's struggling with their sexuality and considering surgery? Kind of teeter-tottering on that.
Honestly, the number one thing that I always tell people is find your allies. Figure out who the people in your life that are gonna who are the people in your life who you know have your back no matter what. And obviously for some folks that's easier than others. You know, especially, you know, for example, like if you're a kid growing up in a super conservative house,
Yes.
those people may be really hard to find. But I mean, if you've got an internet connection, you can connect with those folks at the very least. And so that's the big thing for me, because when a lot of times when people come out, I mean, their entire foundation can come out from under them. Like your place to live, your job, your family relationships, your social circles, like you can lose literally all of that. And so what you do is you sort of start to build another foundation for yourself. So if the other one falls away, you've got something to hold on to. And I think that's the number one thing. And then I think aside from that, I would just say that I think the most important thing is getting to a place where you can ask honest questions of yourself.
Yeah.
And the questions you ask aren't necessarily colored by society's expectations surrounding gender. So if, you know, for example, you know, am I really a woman even though I still like to work on cars? You know, stuff like that. And it's like that. I mean, that sounds obvious, but I mean, I have seen in the trans community, people get pushback because, well, you say you're a woman, but like you like all this dude stuff. You know what I mean? And when someone is struggling really hard with who they are, you know, it's not so easy for somebody to say, well, like, fuck you, I am what I am and I like what I like. And if you don't like it, go to hell. Like it's not easy to say something like that when you're not even sure of yourself. So it's really easy to be pushed further into doubt by things like that. And so working to get past that and to be able to ask yourselves questions, you know, who am I and what do I want?
Right.
And not have the follow-up questions of, but what if this isn't, you know, what if I feel like I'm a trans woman, but I don't like to wear makeup, or I don't wear dresses, that kind of stuff. Like none of that stuff is really who you are.
Right.
And so, I mean, everybody has doubts and everybody questions themselves throughout their life, right? That is a universal human experience. And the fact that a trans person or a queer person may have those doubts doesn't invalidate who they are. It doesn't make them less of who they are.
Yeah.
And so I guess if I had to pick my top two my top two pieces of advice for people who are struggling with gender or sexuality, that would probably be it.
Okay. You know what's so crazy is this, like, just thinking back to when I was growing up, it was like everything is, oh, well, you look like this, you're a boy. You know what I mean? And even my daughter, she's 4, and she's like, oh, boys do that. But I'm like, everybody can do that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it's so hard trying to express that to these kids because it's like everything they look at, it just instills that same, I don't even know what to call it because it's wrong. Because, I mean, we can do whatever we want to do no matter what sex we are. Even if you're straight, you can love makeup.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting ready to say.
And
like, that's just, like you were saying, that's just such a human thing. Like, there are grown heterosexual 35-year-old men who still don't know who the fuck they are. Right. So it's not like it's a bad thing to struggle with who you are and what you want to be. Shit, I was a grown up and just switched my entire fucking career from, you know, doing kind of great in life to kind of like making not a whole lot of money, but I'm so fucking happy doing what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think
but you're doing what you love.
That's forever. But I mean, but look how long it took and questioning yourself and all that.
Right.
So even being a straight or a gay or not straight or not gay, whatever, like, that's just the fucking circle of life. And I really feel like people need to kill the stereotypes, like you said, with their
and
kids.
The expectations of just what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, like, that's bullshit.
You
like,
know,
I was raised by a man, and my grandfather got my first car. I bought my first car. The first thing he did was fucking put it on flat to show me how to change a tire, to take the tire off, put it in the trunk, put the spare on, drive it to the gas station, show me how to fill it up. Because, like,
you need to know
this shit. And it's not like it's, oh, you're a girl. I don't give a fuck if you were my granddaughter or my grandson. Like, you're going to fucking know these things. Like, I cut grass from as long as I could push the lawnmower. That's how long I've been cutting my own grass. You know what I mean? Like, it's never been a situation in my household where it's like, oh, she's a girl, she can't do that, she's wearing a dress. No, fuck that. You're a kid. Take your ass outside and go do kid shit. Like, right. I think people like parents, but I'm saying like these adults, these parents, you fuck your kids up. Like, so just know that, like, you're fucking them up because you're setting limitations for them and you're not letting them just go. Let them fucking just be kids.
Explore and just be.
Yes.
Like,
and
that's
just
how
exist.
you figure out what you want to be.
Exactly.
Even if it's innate in you. Just like, you know, like Callie, like, if her parents would have made her say, you know, this is how you're going to be and this is what you need to be for your whole life, it would have been much more difficult. Just like with Caitlyn Jenner. How old is she? What? Almost 70 years old.
1,000.
And coming to the point where she's just now saying, okay, well, this is what I want to be.
As I knock on death's door.
But you got to look at when she grew up, because it's like, in those times, it was, this is what you are, this is how you are, and this is what boys do. Yeah. And, you know, like, if you listen to her story, she's like, well, I used to wear my mom's clothes, this, that, and I used to go through this, and I used to do that.
Yeah.
The same thing that little girls do. Because Michaela came out the closet last night, and my whole entire outfit, I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? She's like, don't I look pretty? It's the same thing, you know? And it's like, I'm glad that we're getting to a place now, and even though we have a long way to go, just like with racism, I'm glad we're getting to a place where we can accept everybody for what they are and what they're doing.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I am too. And, you know, I was on a podcast the other day, and I think one of the best questions that I've ever been asked was, you know, what makes you hopeful? What makes you feel good about this whole thing? Because, like, obviously there's a lot of shittiness, especially in this political climate, towards trans people and queer people. Right. And for me, it's seeing the other side of that and being a person who's on the other side of that, right? Because, you know, like I said, I was fortunate enough that my family was super supportive of me, and I've joined this amazing atheist podcasting community, and I mean, I have people who I consider family all over the world now. Right. And so I know what it's like to come out and have things go right. and to come out and be loved and affirmed and accepted for who I am, not in spite of who I am, and in some ways because of who I am.
Right.
And I've seen it happen in my community too, where someone initially is really struggling, really hurting, and they're finally able to be honest about who they are and arrange their relationships in the way they want to, and access hormones if that's a thing they want, and access surgery if that's a thing they want. And I mean, it is like flipping a fucking light switch, the quality of life improvement that you see in people. You know, you see people go from being morose and sad all of the time to being people who are just vital and full of life. And I mean, that in itself is enough. But then you look at what people are able to accomplish and what people are able to contribute to society with that affirmation, you know, and sometimes it frustrates that it's like, this shit shouldn't be complicated, right? Because this entire conversation is, okay, how does society get the fuck out of the way and just let people do their
thing?
Right.
You
and grow and flourish.
But of course, I mean, it is more complicated than that, because that's the society that's been constructed that we have to figure out how to deal with. But I mean, that's what it really comes down to, is so much of it is just get the hell out of the way and just let people live.
That goes with so every single issue we have right now.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
All across the board. Across the fucking board.
It's just people trying to grow and be different, and society trying to still be in like 1776. Like, we're not there.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, this is not the Declaration of Independence. Like, we're good. We're good on that. We're good on the Boston Tea Party. Chill out.
Right. We're good. No,
we're doing something different now. You know,
fuck you very much.
Fuck you very much. This man now wants to have his vagina. You gonna move out the way and chill out.
Hey,
these black folks want to walk the street without getting killed. It's cool. Chill.
Right.
You know, like, we're trying to get there, but it's so hard because there's so many people who are so resistant to change. But it's like, change is good. Like, let it come.
Let it flourish. I'm with it.
So thank you so much, Callie, for coming.
Seriously.
Yes. Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun. Like, a lot of fun.
We're so glad that you enjoyed it.
We're going to have a follow-up vagina interview with you.
Yeah, we need to. Vagina monologues. The Between Us Girls series.
I'm into it. Anytime.
I want to hear
so,
everything.
like, when you start using your vag, we want to talk about it.
Seriously.
I think this is going to be epic.
Sparkly new.
I'm really interested because you and your fiance are like, oh, we're about to get married, but we're also about to get all this dick. So,
and then virgins, but then virgins at the same time. It's insane. Like, I don't get it. I don't know. I love it.
I'm so intrigued. So please keep in touch with us, because I just want to know.
Absolutely.
When you guys, well, I mean, no offense to her, but like, when you actually take a dick, I want to know what it's like.
Oh, I'm totally like, I'm gonna be writing. I'm gonna be writing scientific papers and shit. Like, like
the trajectory of the tip.
We're both so stupid. We're both like,
The trajectory. Hold on, don't stroke yet. The trajectory of this tip is fucking
the width
awesome.
of the penis was L times.
Once hard though, it was. It measured at a whopping.
Legit.
That is so fucking awesome. I'm here for it. I'm excited.
I'm
excited for your vagina. Oh my God.
Let me tell us what your vag did.
Right.
Y'all, did you quiver? Let us know.
I'm so into it.
Oh my God, we're insane. I'm sorry. Thank you so much. Michelle's dying.
Thank y'all for having me. This is seriously a lot of fun. I really appreciate y'all having me on.
Okay, it was lovely.
It was great to meet you. Seriously.
So how did you guys like that wine?
A 15.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. I just don't want to explain it, but it's a 15.
Danielle? Is that a buffalo on the front of it?
Yes, because it's...
you know, that's what it reminds me of. They took the whole Cherokee Nation.
I guess because it's, again, aged in bourbon barrels. It says bourbon barrel aged.
It's a reservation. Oh, fuck, I have hiccups.
Ew, that was gross. The fuck?
Really bad, nasty hiccups, whatever. Y'all gonna learn to love me. Y'all gonna love me. Danielle, what's your score?
I'm not really a fan of Zinfandel. This is a better Zinfandel that I've tasted. I will say, because to me, Zinfandels can be a little bit on the bitter side. I like dry, but I like dry wines.
You do?
Yeah, I like dry wines.
Ain't she dry?
It didn't make so much sense.
Perhaps.
You dry bitch.
Yeah, I think I would give this one a 19. Yeah, I mean it has a little bit of an aftertaste to it.
It does.
It has a little bit of aftertaste, so it doesn't like finishes as smooth
as it tastes. I agree.
So like it kind of starts off smooth, but then it like has a little bit of a aftertaste that I don't really care for. Yeah, so I give it a 19.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 16 because it gave me hiccups. Oh shit. Anyway, yeah, it was okay.
It sounds like you're shitting on yourself.
Every time I have the hiccups. Well, if I have to poop, I'll definitely let everyone know so we can all have a meeting in the ladies' room.
Oh.
Be back real soon.
Look, she flung her hair again.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
You know, that's how you know it's real.
That's how I know it's real.
Shit, I'm hiccuping so bad. Okay, well. Sharonda.
Negro spiritual home.
Soon now it done.
Trouble. The world.
Trouble.
You won't even believe me that I have that in my fucking iTunes.
Soon
By Mahalia Jackson. I'm not even joking.
Sharonda, do you want a movie night where we can watch Imitation of Life? Y'all should see this.
Yes. It's like the best movie ever. Oh my God.
Going home to leave.
I can't sing though.
Oh, soon I'll be done. All right.
Look, I told you.
So
how I got over, because that's what it's really called.
So I will
Mahalia Jackson.
let everyone know
That's a damn shame.
that that you can go to our website betweenusgirlspodcast.com. I got hella hiccups. Excuse me. I'm just kidding. But also, make sure you head over to iTunes and leave us a review. And when you leave us a review, try to send like an email or a DM. Oh, fuck.
A DM.
A DM that says, hey, I left you a review so that we can go take that review. Fuck. Never mind. Thank you. I can't complete a statement.
Fuck this. Okay, never mind.
I can't complete a statement with my hiccups, but thank you. iTunes, leave a review, website, newsletter, holla at us.
Instagram, Twitter.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on Between Us Girls. But don't keep it a secret. Listen and share with everyone you know. See you next week.